Hey guys, good morning. I'm excited about diving into God's Word today. Hopefully, everybody's staying warm. I know we got a whole lot of weather moving into the area, and even down where I'm at, it's cold. But we are in Luke chapter 1, going to go through verses 5 through 7. As we get there, if we're going to understand that God has a plan in every situation, even though sometimes it seems like things might be a little unfair. And you do everything right. You try your best to honor the Lord. You are, living a life that's as straight as you possibly can. And things just don't seem to go the way that you want to in life. And what do you do in those situations? How do you handle yourself? How do you think about who God is? Pray that that's what we'll be able to answer and discover today. So we are in Luke chapter 1, verse 5. It says this: There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judah, a certain priest named Zacharias of the division of Abijah. His wife was a daughter of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, blameless. But they had no child, because Elizabeth was barren, and they were both well advanced in years. All right, so what do we find out? We know that we're moving into the backdrop and the background of Jesus ultimately coming after many, many years of silence. Zacharias is going to be kind of the first voice of the Lord that's going to cry out after that 400-year season of time. But what's interesting is that we find this couple well advanced in age. That would imply that they can't have kids anymore, or it's way past the point in time when you ought to have kids, so to speak. But there's something unique about them. They've been doing things right. They've been doing things well. You can see they both were righteous before God. That doesn't mean they were perfect, no. But that they had a right standing with the Lord. That they had followed through on all the commandments. They've done all the things that would have brought about the blessings that you would have expected from the Lord as being a faithful follower. They loved Him with their whole heart, and they were blameless. If you were to look at their life, they would have stood out as being special and unique. But here's the thing. They were not given that which would have been the most prized of possessions for those of that age, and that would have been children. And you look at that and you have to question, it's like, well, why did that happen? Why was it that they were doing so well when it came to just doing right and doing good, but yet things weren't going the way that you might expect in their life? And how did they deal with it? Well, I think it's really important to understand that they still maintained a right relationship with the Lord. They still maintain doing the things that honor the Lord, even in spite of not understanding why their situation may have turned out the way that it had. Now, little did they know that God was going to use them in a miraculous way to bring John the Baptist into this world that would be the forerunner to Christ, the greatest of all the prophets, all those things. They had no idea. And so for years, they would remain barren. Obviously, probably distraught and upset about this situation and this reality, but they stayed faithful. And I think that's the important piece, right? When things just don't seem to be going the way that you think they should, especially when the Lord is involved, and it's totally outside of your hands, like something like a childbirth, or maybe all of a sudden a layoff at work, or you get sick. That doesn't mean that God's not good. That doesn't mean that God is not worthy of your full devotion and attention. It simply means that God has chosen something very unique and special to work out things for His good, His glory, and also yours. In their case, they remain faithful. And I think that's something that we should look at as an example to follow when it just doesn't make sense. When things happen that aren't fair, that God could have intervened, God could have showed up, God could have brought about a miracle, God could have, in our minds, done something well before maybe He has operated at this point. What should we do? We stay faithful. we just simply do it. We continue to serve the Lord, understanding that He is good and that He does have a plan and a purpose which He's working out, and that doesn't deny the fact that His plans and purposes are still moving forward, and still moving forward for our good, our sanctification, the work that He wants to do in our lives, and ultimately, in the bigger picture, His plan. Because He has a plan, and He was going to bring about something far greater than those two could have ever imagined. Bring about their son, who would ultimately be John the Baptist. I love you guys. Be encouraged. I hope that does that for you today. When it just doesn't make sense, what do? We continue to stay devoted to the Lord. Love you guys, and God bless y'all.